Everyone, welcome back to Mental Wealth Reads. We're going to go right into chapter 20 of Success Through Positive Mental Attitude. It looks like we may finish soon. Like I said, there's about 2 more chapters. In fact, it looks like, there's 3 more chapters, but there's the last 2 chapters are really, really tiny. So, depending on how long it takes me for this one, I might just chunk the last 2 and put them together. But anyhow, without further ado, this is going to be a smaller chapter, it looks like, and it's this is the success quotient that that Napoleon Hill has been alluding to for probably the entire book, right? And so it's going to be some of it's going to be maybe a little bit difficult for me to convey, just because there's some charts, there's some paragraphs that are headed weirdly, but I'm going to do my best. And if you have any questions or need me to upload what it looks like, just let me know in the comments and I'll do that for you. All right. So without further ado, chapter 20. Now it's time to test your own success quotient. You have read all about the last 3 chapters of Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. And now would be a good time to take a look at your own mental attitude. And you can do this for yourself. But before you do, we want you to know our attitude is, the burden of teaching is upon the person who wants to teach. And with whom does the burden of learning lie? Perhaps J. Milburn Smith has the answer. Now, J. Milburn Smith rose from assistant to the office boy to president of the Continental Casualty Company of Chicago. He told us, the burden of learning is on the person who wants to learn, not the person who wants to teach. And he also said, a have-not is a person who believes that an idea is not good for him unless he himself originates it. And I say, copy from success. Everything I have done, I have borrowed from another person or business. And he continued, be respectful and listen to those who have experience. For the experienced man had something I wanted, and that's why I associated with older and successful men. For I took what they had, the good, their knowledge and experience, but not their weaknesses. And then I added this to what I had. Thus I profited even by their mistakes as well as my own. To learn, one must pay the price, and I was willing to pay it, for I was not taught. I learned. Knowledge, you must seek it out. Copy from success, says J. Milburn Smith, and you can begin by asking yourself some questions. Am I willing to pay the price? Am I willing to take the good, the knowledge, and the experience, but not the weaknesses of the men I have read about in this book? And if your answer is yes, then we have a suggestion that we know will help you. But let's first remind you that as you have read the pages of this book, you have frequently been called upon to answer questions about yourself. And although these may have appeared to have been simple questions in reality, is there anything harder than to evaluate oneself correctly? Know thyself is probably the most difficult admonition ever given to man. And to assist you to know thyself, the authors have prepared a personal analysis questionnaire which has helped many men and women to do this more satisfactorily. You have already taken many tests: intelligence, aptitude, personality, vocabulary, and all the rest. But this one is different. We call it your success quotient analysis. And it is based on the 17 success principles which have been responsible for the worthwhile achievements of the world's outstanding leaders in all its fields. It has many purposes: to direct your thoughts and desired channels, to crystallize your thinking, to indicate your present position on the road to success, to encourage you to decide exactly where you want to be, to measure your chances of reaching your desired destination, to indicate your present ambitions and other characteristics, and to motivate you to desirable action with PMA. And now our suggestion is that you immediately try to answer the following success quotient analysis, thoughtfully and truthfully to the best of your ability. Try not to fool yourself, for this test will be valid only if you answer every question with the truth as you now see it. Here we go. Number 1, definiteness of purpose. Yes or no? Have you decided 1A. Have you decided upon a definite major goal in life? 1B. Have you set a time limit for each goal, for reaching that goal? 1C. Do you have specific plans for achieving your goal in life? 1D. Have you determined what definite benefits your goal in life will bring you? 2. Positive mental attitude. 2A. Do you know what is meant by a positive mental attitude? 2B. Do you control your mental attitude? 2C. Do you know the only thing over which anyone has complete power or of control? 2D. Do you know how to detect a negative mental attitude in yourself and others? 2E. Do you know how to make PMA a habit? 3. Going the extra mile. 3A. Do you make a habit of rendering more and better service than you are paid for? 3B. Do you know when an employee is entitled to more pay? 3C. Do you know of anyone who has achieved success in any calling without doing more than he has paid to do? 3D. Do you believe anyone has a right to expect an increase in salary unless he is doing more than he is paid for? 3E. If you were your own employee, would you be satisfied with the sort of service you are now rendering as an employee? 4. Accurate thinking. Do you make it your duty constantly to learn about your occupation? B. Is it your habit to express opinions on subjects with which you are not familiar? C. Do you know how to find the facts when you need knowledge? 5. Self-discipline. A. Do you hold your tongue when angry? B. Is it your habit to speak before you think? C. Do you lose your patience easily? D. Are you generally even-tempered? And E. Is it your habit to allow your emotions to overpower your reason? 6. The mastermind. Are you influencing others? Oh, this is A. Are you influencing other people to help you attain your goal in life? B. Do you believe that a person can succeed in life without the aid of others? C. Do you believe a man can easily succeed in his occupation if he is opposed by his wife or other members of his family? D. Are there advantages when an employer and an employee work together in harmony? E. Are you proud when a group to which you belong is praised? 7. Applied faith. A. Do you have faith in infinite intelligence? B. Are you a person of integrity? C. Do you have confidence in your ability to do what you decide to do? D. Are you reasonably free from these 7 basic fears, which are the fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, loss of liberty, old age, and fear of death? 8. Pleasing personality. A. Are your habits offensive to others? B. Is your habit to apply the golden rule? C. Are you liked by those with whom you work? D. Do you bore others? 9. Personal initiative. A. Do you plan your work? B. Must your work be planned for you? C. Do you possess outstanding qualities not possessed by others in your line of work? D. Is your habit to procrastinate? E. Is your habit to try to create better plans for doing your work more efficiently? 10. Enthusiasm. Are you an enthusiastic person? B. Do you direct your enthusiasm toward carrying out your plans? C. Does your enthusiasm overpower your judgment? 11. Controlled attention. A. Is it your habit to concentrate your thoughts on what you are doing? B. Are you easily influenced to change your plans or your decisions? C. Are you inclined to abandon your aims and plans when you meet opposition? D. Do you keep working regardless of unavoidable distractions? 12. Teamwork. A. Do you get along harmoniously with others? B. Do you grant favors as freely as you ask them? C. Do you have frequent disagreements with others? D. Are there great advantages in friendly cooperation among coworkers? E. Are you aware of the damage one can cause by not cooperating with coworkers? 13. Learning from defeat. Does defeat cause you to stop trying? B. If you fail in a given effort, do you keep trying? C. Is temporary defeat the same as failure? D. Have you learned any lessons from defeat? E. Do you know how defeat can be converted into an asset that will lead to success? 14. Create a vision. A. Do you use your imagination constructively? B. Do you make your own decisions? C. Is the man who only follows instructions always worth more than the man who also creates new ideas? D. Are you inventive? E. Do you create practical ideas in connection with your work? F. When desirable, do you seek sound advice? 15. Budgeting time and money. A. Do you save a fixed percentage of your income? B. Do you spend money without regard to your future source of income? C. Do you get sufficient sleep each night? D. Is your habit to employ spare time studying self-improvement books? 16. Maintenance of sound health. Do you know 5 essential factors of sound health? B. Do you know where sound health begins? C. Are you aware of the relation of relaxation to sound health? D. Do you know the 4 important factors necessary for the proper balancing of sound health? E. Do you know the meaning of hypochondria and psychosomatic illness? 17. Using cosmic habit force as it pertains to your personal habits. A. Do you have habits with which you feel you cannot control? B. Have you recently eliminated undesirable habits? C. Have you recently developed any new desirable habits? Okay, that was all the questions. Okay, here's how to rate your answers. All of the following questions should have been answered. 3C, 3D. Oh, okay. I gotta take that back. All the following questions should have been answered as follows. All of the no questions should be 3C, 3D, 4B, 5B, 5C, 5E, 6B, 6C, 8A, 8D, 9B, 9D, 10C, 11B, 11C, 12C, 13A, 13C, 14C, 15B, and 17A. All other questions should have been answered yes. Your score will have been 300 if all the questions had been answered no or yes as shown above. This is a perfect score, and very few people have ever made such a score. Now let's see what your score was. Oh, and then he asks you to add all it up, blah, 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 blah. If you answered no to any of the meaning questions that should have been answered yes, deduct 4 points for each one. Add the subtotals together and subtract from 300. This will be your score. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. You have now taken an important step to success and happiness. You have tried to answer the questions in this success quotient analysis searchingly and honestly. If not, you will. Now the important thing to remember is that these results are not final and unchangeable. If you scored high, it means you will be able to assimilate and practice the principles in this book rather quickly. If your score was not so high, don't despair. Apply PMA. You can change great success in life. You can achieve great success in life. When you need help from a psychologist to find out what business or profession you may be best fitted for, he will frequently ask you to take a battery of tests. The picture that emerges from these tests may show you what your particular tendencies are. However, the psychologist does not regard the result of these tests as final. He always arranges for a personal interview to find out that which a test will not answer. He uses the results of the tests and the interviews to counsel you and to evaluate your progress. In the same way, you can use the first score on the questionnaire as a means of measuring your own ever-growing success quotient. Read success through a positive mental attitude from cover to cover once more, and again, and again. Read it aloud with your husband, wife, or a close friend, discussing it point by point. Read it until every principle becomes a part of your life, motivating your every action. Then, when you have earnestly applied these principles for 3 months, take the success quotient test again. Not only will many wrong answers become right ones, but answers you gave correctly the first time will be more emphatic and confident. Your success quotient can serve you as more than a yardstick, however. It can serve to underline those areas where you need to work hardest for self-improvement. It will also reveal your areas of special strength. For your future is ahead of you. You have the power to direct your thoughts and control your emotions. Just awaken the sleeping giant within you. How? You will find your answer in the next chapter. Okay, we're actually going to go into the next chapter because that didn't take as long as I thought it would. So here we are going on to chapter. I actually think we're going to finish the book today because, like I said, the next 2 chapters are really tiny. Yeah, here we go. We're finishing the book. All right. Um, Chapter 21 is Awaken the Sleeping Giant Within You. You are the most important living person. Stop and think about yourself. In all the history of the world, there was never anyone else exactly like you, and in all the infinity of time to come, there will never be another. You are the product of your heredity, environment, physical body, conscious and subconscious mind, experience, and particular position and direction in time and space, and something more, including powers known and unknown. You have the power to affect, use, control, or harmonize with all of them, and you can direct your thoughts, control your emotions, and ordain your destiny with PMA. For you are a mind with a body, and your mind consists of dual invisible gigantic powers, the conscious and subconscious. One is a giant that never sleeps. It is called the subconscious mind. The other is a giant which, when asleep, is powerless. When awakened, his potential power is unlimited. This giant is known as the conscious mind. When the two work in harmony, they can affect, use, control, or harmonize with all known and unknown powers. What wouldst thou have? I am ready to obey thee as thy slave, and the other slaves of the lamp, said the genie. Awaken the sleeping giant within you. It is more powerful than all the genii of Aladdin's lamp. The genii are fictional. Your sleeping giant is real. What wouldst thou have? Love, good health, success, friends, money, a home, a car, recognition, peace of mind, courage, happiness? Or would you make your world a better place, a better world in which to live? The sleeping giant within you has the power to bring your wishes into reality. What wouldst thou have? Name it and it's yours. Awaken the sleeping giant within you. How? Think with a positive mental attitude. Now the sleeping giant, like the genie, must be summoned with magic, but you possess this magic. The magic is your talisman with the symbols PMA on one side and NMA on the other. The characteristics of PMA are the plus characteristics symbolized by such words of faith as faith, hope, honesty, and love. We have called the resumes at the end of the chapters pilots. That is because you are going somewhere. You are not standing still. You are on your way through rough and often unfamiliar waters. To reach the end of your journey successfully, you will need many of the skills of the navigator. As the compass of the ship is affected by disturbing magnetic influences, requiring the pilot to make certain allowances in order to keep the vessel on its right course, so you must take account of the powerful influences affecting you as you navigate through life. A compass is corrected to give true readings regardless of variation and deviation. The same applies to life, where the variations are environmental influences, and the deviations are the negative attitudes within your own conscious and subconscious mind. You must correct these deviations as they occur in your plotting. Ahead of you may be disappointments, adversities, and dangers. These are the rocks and hidden shoals past which you must sail on your course. And this you can do when your compass is compensated for variation. For if you are aware of the coral reefs and tides, you can capitalize on each. You can select the environmental influence of the light of a lighthouse or a sound of a buoy to steer a course that will bring you toward your destination without serious mishap. Now, in plotting a course, you must rely upon the accuracy of your compass. Compensating the compass is not an exact science. A necessary safeguard is unceasing watchfulness on the navigator's part. It is possible, however, to correct a compass very effectively. Just as a magnetic needle is in direct line with the north and south magnetic poles, so when your compass is compensated, you will automatically react in line with your objective, your highest ideal. And the highest ideal of man is the will of God. This book will now go with you on your journey to success. Success through a positive mental attitude will bring you success, wealth, physical, mental, and spiritual health, and happiness when you react favorably to it. Remember that what Andrew Carnegie said. Anything in life worth having is worth working for. Awaken the sleeping giant. In the next chapter, entitled The Amazing Power of a Bibliography, you will discover the art of reading an inspirational book in a manner that will help you to awaken the sleeping giant within you. Okay, that was chapter 21. We're now on to the final chapter. Woohoo! Here we go. This is really exciting for me, guys. I don't think you understand. Alright, chapter 22, The Amazing Power of a Bibliography. This chapter is a bibliography, and this bibliography has amazing potential power. For within it may lie the hidden button which, when pushed, can be used to unleash the power within you. the untapped, unused vast resources that you alone possess. And we hope it will start a chain reaction that will help you in achieving true success. For if you want to motivate yourself and others, say it with a book. In Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, the authors have used a technique that has proved exceedingly effective in their writings, lectures, and counseling service. We recommend self-help books which experience has proved cause a desirable and positive reaction in the reader. Now in the 20th century, America has been particularly fortunate in developing a group of authors who have the unique talent to write in a manner that sows seeds of thought, which motivate those who are searching for self-improvement to find it. The reader reacts with desirable action. Now in the 20th century, while some of the books we recommended are out of print, the universal truths contained in them are just as true today as the day they were written, and such books can be obtained from used bookstores or rented from your library. Again, we urge you to read, study, understand, and apply the principles in inspirational self-help action books, magazines, and newspaper articles. Read everything you can find out about those who had successful careers in your own field to determine what principles you can use to succeed. Also, read success stories about people in other kinds of work and find the common denominator, the principle involved. Share with others a part of what you possess that is good and desirable, an inspirational self-help action book, article, editorial, or poem. Now that's what Nate Lieberman has done. For many years, he was a manufacturer's representative. He had a magnificent obsession. Over a period of years, he shared thousands of inspirational books with his friends. And it was Nate Lieberman who made Emerson and Mr. Stone close friends with a gift of Emerson's essays. And likewise, he introduced him to the authors of suggestion and autosuggestion, the law of psychic phenomena, and the invention and the unconscious, and many more. Now, this sharing of ideas and ideals is a marvelous thing. You give them away and still keep them for yourself too. Brownie Wise knew this. Brownie needed to support herself and her son, who was ill. Her meager salary wasn't enough to pay for her son's medical care. Therefore, she obtained a part-time sales job for Tupperware Home Parties Incorporated to augment her income. She needed money. With it, her son could have the best medical attention. They could move to a climate that would help restore his health. Brownie Wise prayed for help. She found it. She read an inspirational book, Think and Grow Rich. She read it once and then read it again. In fact, Brownie read the book 6 times. Then she recognized the principle she was looking for and something happened. She made it happen. She saw how she could apply these principles to her own situation, and these ideas were put into action. It wasn't long before her earnings from Tupperware exceeded $18,000 a year. And within a few years, her income rose over $75,000 annually. In due course, she became vice president and the general manager of the company. Brownie Wise enjoyed the distinction of being recognized as one of the outstanding women sales managers in the United States. She continued her successful career and eventually became president of Vivian Woodward Cosmetics Corporation. This outstanding businesswoman's success began with a book and continued with a book. Much of her achievement is due to the successful motivation of her representatives. She shared what she had learned from reading Think and Grow Rich. Brownie Wise bought copies of the books for her sales representatives. They were urged to read Think and Grow Rich as many times as she had and apply the principles in their own lives. And the story of Lee S. Mittinger and William S. Castleberry, Ph.D., is another example of the value of inspirational self-help action books in the achievement of success. These men helped nature bring good health to men, women, and children through the sale of Nutrilite, a food supplement which contains vitamins and minerals. Their sales grossed many millions of dollars annually. Mittinger and Castleberry read Think and Grow Rich. They assimilated what they read and got into action. Part of their success was due to their ability to motivate their distributors with mental and spiritual vitamins. They did this with the same book that had inspired them. Each new employee received an inspirational lecture course teaching him the fundamentals of success. They distributed thousands of self-help books because they knew what amazing effects these books have on sales representatives' productivity and success. They knew, W. Clement Stone uses inspirational literature extensively in his organization. His company buys thousands of books for distribution to employees, stockholders, and representatives. The success and growth of his companies have been phenomenal, not by accident. How to read a book. There is an art to reading, a self-help book. When you read, concentrate. Read as if the author were a close personal friend and were writing to you, and you alone. Now you recall that Abraham Lincoln, when he read, took time for reflection in order that he might relate and assimilate the principles into his own experience. It would be wise to follow his good example. Determine what you are looking for before you read a self-help book. If you know what you are looking for, you are more apt to find it than if you don't have a specific purpose. If you really want to recognize, relate, assimilate, and apply success principles that are contained between the covers of an inspirational book, you must work at it. A self-help book is not to be skimmed through the same way that you might read a detective novel. Mortimer J. Adler in How to Read a Book urges the reader to follow a definite pattern. Here's an ideal one. Step A. Read for general content. This is the first reading. It should be a fast reading to grasp the sweeping flow of thought the book contains. But take the time to underline the important words and phrases. Write notes in the margins and write down briefly the ideas that flash into your mind as you read. Now this obviously may only be done with a book that you own, but the notations and markings may make your book more valuable to you. Step B. Read for particular emphasis. A second reading is for the purpose of assimilating specific details. You should pay particular attention to see that you understand and really grasp any new ideas the book presents. Step C. Read for the future. This third reading is more of a memory feat than it is a reading task. Literally memorize pages that have particular meaning to you. Find ways they can relate to problems you are currently facing. Test new ideas, try them, discard the useless, and imprint the useful indelibly on your habit patterns. And step D. Read later to refresh your memory and rekindle your inspiration. There is a famous story about a salesman who is standing up in front of a sales manager saying, "Give me that old sales talk again, I'm getting kind of discouraged." All of us may become discouraged. We should reread the best of our books at such times to rekindle the fires that got us going in the first place. We shall list some inspirational self-help action books. A few are instructional that can motivate you to desirable action. Each contains hidden treasures that you can discover for yourself. But before you go over the list and thus complete your first reading of Success Through Positive Mental Attitude, let us once more remind you. Share with others a part of what you have that is good and desirable, and awaken the sleeping giant within you. Then this book, Success Through Positive Mental Attitude, will not be an ending. It will be the beginning of a new era in your life. Make the ending what you choose. Okay, so I am going to kind of briefly go through this. This is a long list, so I'm going to try to read this fast because it's just the last 2 pages. So anyway, first is the Bible. This shouldn't be a surprise at this point that Napoleon Hill thinks we should read the Bible, right? 2, books for further reading. How to Read a Book by Mortimer J. Adler. Robert Coverdale's Struggle by Horatio Alger. Suggestion and Autosuggestion by Charles Baudouin. I pronounce that. Luther Burbank, Plant Magician by John Y. Beatty. How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling by Frank Bettger. The Power of Faith by Louis Beanstalk. Wake Up and Live by Dorothea Brande. The Electrical Activity of the Nervous System, which is a textbook, by Mary A. B. Brazier. The Magic of Believing by Claude M. Bristol. TNT, The Power Within You by Claude M. Bristol and Harold Sherman. Training the Human Plant by Burbank and Hall. Writing, Advice and Devices by Walter S. Campbell. Autobiography of Andrew Carnegie by Andrew Carnegie. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. The Art of Straight Thinking by Edwin Leavitt Clark. The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. The Secret of Ages by Robert Collier. Born Again by Charles Colson. Introduction to Logic by Irving Copey. Self-Mastery Through Conscious Autosuggestion by Emile Coué. Cycles by Dakin and Dewey. I Dare You by William H. Danforth. Cycles, The Mysterious Forces That Trigger Events by Edward R. Dewey and Og Mandino. The Magic Story by Frederick Van Day and Rensselaer. Interesting. Maybe it's Frederick Van Rensselaer Day. I'm not sure. Okay. Anyway. The Magnificent Obsession by Lloyd C. Douglas. The Question of Money by Alexander Dumas. The Story of Philosophy by Will Durant. Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. Essays in Science by Albert Einstein. Physics, A Modern Approach by Paul L. Elliott and William S. Wilcox. Autobiography of Benjamin Franklin by Benjamin Franklin. An Outline of Psychoanalysis by Sigmund Freud. Norman Vincent Peale, Minister to Millions by Arthur Gordon. Language in Thought and Action by S.I. Hayakawa. The Law of Success, Think and Grow Rich, How to Raise Your Own Salary, and Science of Success, all by Napoleon Hill. The Divine Pedigree of Man by Thomas J. Hudson. Also, The Law of Psychic Phenomena by Thomas J. Hudson. Brainwashing by Edward Hunter. Principles of Psychology by William James. The Life Story of Thomas A. Edison by Francis A. Jones. If You Can Count to 4 by Jim Jones. Your Greatest Power by Martin J. Coe. Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. The Greatest Salesman in the World and the Greatest Secret in the World by Og Mandino. Pushing to the Front by Orison Swett Martin. Climate Makes the Man by Clarence Mills, M.D. Invention and the Unconscious by Joseph Marie Mountmasson. It's French. Turn on the Green Lights in Your Life by Robert E. Moore and Maxwell I. Schultz. Abraham Lincoln, His Story in His Own Words by Ralph Newman. Applied Imagination by Alex F. Osborne. What We Must Know About Communism by Harry Overstreet. The Hidden Persuaders by Vance Packard. The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. The New World of the Mind and The Reach of the Mind by Joseph B. Rhine. Parapsychology by Joseph B. Rhine and J.C. Pratt. Education and Freedom by Rear Rickover. The New You and Heredity by Amram Scheinfeld. Life is Worth Living by Monsignor Fulton J. Sheen. Self-Help by Samuel Smiles. The Success System That Never Fails by W. Clement Stone. I Can by Ben Sweetland. Power to Manage Yourself by Harold Blake Walker. Venture to Faith by Mary Alice Walker and Harold Blake Walker. John D. A Portrait in Oils by John K. Walker. And The Gifted Child by Dr. Paul Andrew Whitty. That is the whole book, guys. We did it. We made it through. And really, the most I can say about these last 3 chapters is that I encourage you to go back, listen to them again, and if you haven't bought the book, go ahead and buy it, and kind of give the book a couple more reads as they suggest. And also, check out our mental wealth threads page, because at the very, very bottom, there's also some other suggested things. The mental wealth threads is it's just our merch store, but at the very, very bottom, there are other things not created by us that we suggest, purchasing or looking into, and there's a number of books there too. That we would suggest as well, that are just more informative, more on a mental health level too. So I think it's a good way to end the book, right? With that sort of a send off where it's, hey, check yourself here using the success quotient analysis. Figure out what you're good at, what you're lacking in, what you need to improve, right? And when you are done with that, then go through this book and go find books that pertain to the things that you need to improve, and read them, right? Read them, commit them to memory, and figure out what you can improve, what you can change, and how you can really make success, but also happiness, a regular part of your life. It's something that we call, unconscious, I don't remember what we call it anymore. It's essentially the idea of a habit, right? Doing something that that is so regular to you now that it's an unconscious habit. It's an unconscious thing for you to be successful, or to do the things that would create success in your own life and happiness in your own life. And I think, like I said, I think that's a good place to stop. I don't know any more to say about it. I think they really drove home the point really well. But I encourage you, like I said, to watch this series again, and take notes and write down the things that strike you. And if you would like, even just, leave a comment for me in the questions. Like I always encourage that at the end of the video, just so, there can be an open conversation about this, right? Because I'd love to be the person that helps you kind of make sense of this, figure out how you can change this. So, as I always say, leave comments, questions, recommendations. Even if there's a book that wasn't mentioned, a book that's not in our merch or our merch page that's been recommended. Let me know. Let me know of a book that changed your life, or maybe of a book that you want help looking into or studying or hearing from a different perspective, right? I'm totally here for that. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video series, whichever one you choose to watch. But thank you for watching. Thank you for reading this book with me. I appreciate it. It helps me too. It's the first time I've read that book all the way through. So, I appreciate it. And you guys take care.